What is art in your opinion?
Well, okay, so art, in my opinion, um, I don't, it's not necessarily my opinion, but I'll kind of give you, I guess, a rundown a little bit. So I remember, again, coming from that comic book background, I was reading a lot, and actually, even like as a freshman, I think, like early on in my life, I started reading books on comic book theory and the theory of the art of comic books. And there's one that's, pretty critical text, which is Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. And in that, he tries to define art, right? And so in his trying to define art, which is such a slippery thing to try and do in general, he basically does an illustration of a caveman running away from, I think it was like a lion or a bear or something like that. And this idea that as he's running away and trying to survive this attack, he gets by the skin of his teeth, it falls off a cliff or something, and he looks back and, does like a nana 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 kind of expression. And he says, that right there, that's art. And basically what he equates it to is this idea that anything that is done outside of, basically any expressions being made outside of the need of survival, essentially, is superfluous towards living, but colors our lives. And so at that very base level, that is something that is a language of art. Now, that's not high art, right? There's a huge difference there. And that's where we get into these long conversations about really what's at the crux of what's important about art. So it's a gigantic gray area. There's cream that rises to the top, and artists love to get together at a bar and sit around and have these conversations, and more often than not they're poo-pooing other art or whatever it may be, and along that way what's really happening is they're describing what they think is really at the heart of what they really love in art. And for me, when I think about art, when I think about what moves me with art, and everybody's different this way, but what really gets to me, and I think what I think is a relatively good taking off point for it, is that art is essentially a reflection of the artist's understanding of reality. And that's really what the basis of it is. And then following that, of course, not everybody is going to be great at really expressing that, right? There's people who are highly profound at it. There are people who are very amateurish about it. There's all scopes there. So that comes down to kind of more of that, again, going back to the early days with Aristotle, kind of that teleology, that idea of, well, if art is this seen as something where we're really trying to express our understanding of the world around us, of reality, how well does the art actually do that? And I think that we can see that in many pieces. I can tell you right away why a painting like Ribera's Clubfoot has such a profound impact on me. And it may not have that same impact for somebody else because their experience of the world may be different and they're more compelled by different pieces. So for me, I like to keep a very broad idea of what art is, knowing that I have a very specific thing that I look for and that moves me with it. But I'm really interested in the conversations because you get to keep your ears open and you get to learn so much more when you're having these conversations about what other people think art is. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say something that you go, yeah, that fits too, right? It's one of those things where it's such a broad, abstract, concept that there's exceptions to every rule, things that you don't consider, and you always find yourself opening up to new possibilities of what it is and what we should really consider.